What's up, everybody? I'm out here with Peanut by the lake, and I wanted to make a video that I've had in mind for a while. And it's springtime, late spring in Chicago, almost summer, and it's been beautiful weather out. We can hear the birds having fun here, and it's a good time in the city here. So today's video is going to be about kratom addiction and conspiracy theories. This is one that I've been thinking about, and I had somebody make a comment on a recent video, and it inspired me to jump on here and make this today. So I've talked about this before, but I want to go into it more today about how I got really into conspiracies when I was in my kratom addiction. I'm going to take a look at all these beautiful flowers too that are starting to bloom around here. So when I was in my addiction, I found myself not really being able to leave the house at a certain point. And I was very unhealthy in a lot of ways. But one of them was that my physical health had deteriorated so much. I found myself in a place where I had no energy. I had lost a bunch of weight. I was basically afraid to go out and do anything because I was always worried about when and how I was going to be dosing. And so I found myself in this space in this time of my addiction where I was basically not leaving the house for days on end. Sometimes over a week would pass before I would even leave the house. And during this time, and I've mentioned this before, that I would spend a lot of time on YouTube, and it kind of became this coping mechanism for just being in this extremely painful spot in my life. And so I found myself spending hours on end just watching YouTube videos and kind of just thinking about life and thinking about the meaning of life. And so I was in this place where it was not a very good time. And, where are you going right now? Where are you going? Let's take a look at these too. And then we got wild violets. I've always loved these. These don't smell like violet here, but when I was in Michigan, they would smell like violet, and they were so pretty. So I was not in a good way. And I would find myself going down these deep rabbit holes of YouTube. And I started to get really into learning about different aspects of who ran the world, where the world's wealth had come from, where our government had come from. This led into learning about secret societies. This led into learning about the elite of this world and all of the weird, dark, evil things that they are up to. And so I was at a point where I was completely hyper fixated on this stuff, and I would spend days on end just basically in these rabbit holes of figuring out in whatever way I could about the Illuminati and the Freemasons and how that had to do with our government and then the elite of the world. And I spent days and months on end hyper fixating on the the satanic ritual abuse of the very wealthy and elite of this world. And so I was really in deep with this stuff, and I would spend so much time just like hyper fixated on it. And I came to a point where like I was just so, I was in my addiction, and I was so like dark and consumed by that. But then everything that I was focusing on with this stuff was like literally like consuming me. And I just got to a point where like everything about me and everything that I believed and everything that I was focusing on had this very, very dark aspect of it. And so how did this end up playing out? Well, I ended up getting sober, and I ended up, realizing that I had been fixated on all of this stuff. As I moved forward in my recovery and my journey in sobriety, I started to pull my focus away from these type of topics. And I then put them on other topics and, things that were more uplifting and positive. I ended up getting to the point where where I'm at now is I choose not to focus on that stuff anymore. I want to be very clear though, I am not discrediting some of the things that I learned. I do believe that a lot of this stuff is sensationalized because, if you really think about it, and now that I'm in my rational, sober mind, hang on, let me call for Peanut. Peanut, come on. Peanut. She eats grass, and I call it that she's eating salad, and that's what she's doing right now. Peanut, where are you? Come on. No more salad. Let's go. Come on, let's go now. Let's go. Come on, Peanut. I do believe, you guys, that there is a lot of corruption in this world. I do believe that in the spheres of wealth and power, that there is a lot of evil things that go on. But I also now, in my rational, sober mind, know that we are never going to be able to understand all of that that's going on. And I do believe that the information that comes to the surface for us, like, the stuff that we're able to find on YouTube and on the internet and whatnot, that there is going to be an element of truth to all, or to some, I should say, some of this stuff. But I do think that, we will never truly understand what is going on in these depths of, darkness and depravity of these, type of, like the elites and the secret societies and all that kind of stuff. Like we're never going to understand this stuff. And so, but when I was in that state of mind, and there was something about the kratom, and then that was mixed with the weed too, that just made me hyper paranoid and obsessive over all of the darkness and all of the evil things of this world. And does that mean that now that I'm sober that I don't think that any of that exists? No, that's not what that means. It's just, I'm now at a place where like I said, rationally speaking, how will we ever understand that? And there's only so much that we can do with this information. To even come to an understanding that okay, there's all this super messed up stuff that's going on. you know, like, what are we going to do with that information? Like, you know, we can either let it, you know, turn us into these like paranoid, like, you know, super negative people, or we can go, okay, like, I accept. Where is my dog? Hang on, let me call for her again. Peanut, where are you? Peanut. Her legs are so little that she's in this tall grass and sometimes I don't even see her. Peanut. There you are. And she's like this like weird, you know, gray color. Not weird, cute. She's so cute, but like she like blends into the shadows. Where were you? Where were you, Peanut? Where were you? Come on, let's go get a drink of water and take a little dip. Come on, let's go. Let's go, Peanut. Come on. Come on. This way. So like, you know, we can either take this information that we gather in these moments of like speculation and oftentimes paranoia, and like we can let it control us, and we can let it set our like perspective into this like having it tainted by this extremely negative, suspicious lens. Or, you know, what I did, and obviously I'm not telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want. If you are in that, like, you know, I think that it's, you know, something that a lot of us go through where we just like come across this information, you know, we have to digest it too. Like when you start to hear about this kind of stuff and come across it, like it'll blow your mind when you start learning about some of this stuff. And you need a chance to kind of like process it and digest it. And so like I'm completely respectful of that. Like you guys, it took me like probably a few years really to like really come to the place where I am now. So where I'm at now is that like I have this acceptance of, you know, that there is darkness and evil in this world, and that, you know, we are not going to be able to control any of this stuff. We are not going to be able to control or unfortunately change any of this very dark, weird stuff that some people do. And like, you know, not to get all like, you know, whatever, like I was about to say religious, but I'm not, you know, I don't believe in a religion. But not to get all like, you know, God or Jesus on you, but like straight up, like we live in a fallen world. Like this world is evil and is dark by nature. And so like, that's where I'm at with it, is that I accept the darkness around me. And what I choose to do is I choose to shine light into this darkness. And I do believe that, you know, that God is that light. The goodness, the faithfulness, the holiness, the grace of God is that light in this darkness. And so do I, you know, chalk everything up that I learned during that time to like, oh, it's just conspiracy theories? No, I see the validity in it. And that's the thing with, you know, going down the rabbit holes of learning about this kind of stuff is like, you know, you can kind of see the conspiratory nature of a lot of stuff, but then there are things that are facts. There are things that when you see some things and when you see like truths, you know, that's then like it's unseeable. Like you can't like not see those things. You can't not see those truths. You know, I remember when I watched a documentary about Bohemian Grove, and I was just like, my mind was freaking blown. And like hearing all the people that go to this place and like get involved in these rituals and stuff, like you know, that's just one example. Like I learned about so much stuff that was just like so twisted, and my mind was so blown. And so yeah, that's where I'm at with it now, is that like I don't discredit these things, but like I do not focus on them anymore. And does that mean that I am naive and oblivious to them? No, it doesn't. It means that I choose to focus my attention and my energy on shining light into this world instead of focusing on the darkness of it. And is that what you should do? You know, I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But, you know, it is a choice of all of ours. And I respect your guys' process wherever you're at with this. Like if you're in those rabbit holes where you're doing the research and you're like finding out these truths and like learning about all of this twisted stuff, then, you know, I completely, you know, respect your process. And I'm not saying don't be on that process, because for me, it was an integral part of my journey. You know, it's an integral part of why I believe what I believe and I follow Christ, because when I saw that like the powers that be that are in this world, you know, worship the other side of, you know, God and Christ and Jesus, and that, you know, there is darkness that is worshipped and followed. Like when I put two and two together, that like, okay, like if the elite of this world are, you know, worshiping, you know, the other side of this, then God is, look at this birdie, then God is real. And it really helped with my own spiritual journey. And so wherever you're at in your process, like I totally respect it. And maybe there'll be the time at some point where you decide like, okay, like I've been down in these rabbit holes for too long, and now I'm ready to move forward and focus, you know, on the other side of things and use what I've learned to go out into the darkness of this world. You know, having learned and grown and changed as a person because of it. So I love you guys. Thanks for taking this walk with us, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you. Bye.